Good morning, students. We will start today the second part of Is Matter Around Us Pure? In the first part, we have done elements, compounds and mixtures, their definitions and the difference between all three. Today, we will discuss properties of mixture. This is the part 2. All of you know that matter is present in two forms. There are pure substances which we know as elements and compounds, and there are mixtures. These mixtures, they are formed by the combination of two or more pure substances. These substances may be elements or these substances may be elements and compounds together. If two or more pure substances, that is element and compounds, they are mixed together and in any proportion, the proportion is not fixed, then a mixture is formed. So this is the definition of mixtures. Now, depending upon the components, mixtures has different components. So depending upon its components, mixture can be divided into two. One are homogeneous mixtures and other are heterogeneous mixtures. We have learned this in the previous video. The homogeneous mixtures are those mixtures which have the composition as uniform or which has a uniform composition, and heterogeneous, the opposite, which have a non-uniform compositions. So under homogeneous we will study solutions, and under heterogeneous we will study suspensions and colloids or colloidal solutions. So today we will study only solutions, and suspensions and colloids we will study in the next video. So now you know what are solutions? Solutions are homogeneous mixture. What does it mean? It means that the composition of the solution is same all through. Now, how a solution is formed? There are two components of the solution. One is known as solute, the other is known as solvent. Suppose we have sugar solution. What will we make to, what will be add to make this sugar solution? We will add sugar. Suppose in a spoon, this is the sugar, this is solute, and this is water. Sugar is added into water and water is solvent. So generally the solute is in limited quantity, less quantity, and solvent is in more quantity. This is an example of solution. Sugar is dissolved in water and sugar solution is formed, and we can see that is the sweetness of this sugar solution is similar, the same throughout the solution. That's why it is homogeneous. With this example, we are thinking that only solids can be dissolved in liquids and solutions will be formed. But this is not the case. Any state of matter, that is solid, liquid and gas, can be mixed with any and a solution is formed. I will give some common examples. One is solid and liquid. The first is solid is solute and liquid is solvent. We have many examples like this: sugar solution, salt solution, copper sulfate solution. The crystals of copper sulfate are dissolved in water. Barium chloride solution. Anything can be dissolved in water or any other solvent, then it will be a solution. Or we can have iodine in alcohol. We will get tincture iodine. Iodine is solid and this alcohol is liquid, so we can get tincture iodine. So these are the examples of solid in liquid and solution is formed which is homogeneous. Now homo means same or similar. If the composition is same or similar, then the solution is homogeneous. The second example, gas in liquid. The most common examples are cold drinks we are drinking, like soda lime or this other Coca-Cola. All these are cold drinks. Here the carbon dioxide gas is dissolved in liquid. So this is again a solution where gas is dissolved in liquid solvent. Then the solid in solid. This is one of the most important solutions when solids are dissolved in solids. Can you imagine how a solid can be dissolved in a solid? Yes, alloys. Alloys are the example, you know, alloy. Brass is an alloy. So alloy is the example of a solution where solid can be dissolved in solid. If we take the example of brass, brass is an alloy of zinc and copper. 70% zinc and 30% copper. Sorry, 70% copper and 30% zinc, they are mixed together by melting and brass is formed. But this is an exception. In solutions, their components can be separated by physical processes. We know that pure substances like elements and compounds, they cannot be separated by physical processes. However, these solutions, their components can be separated by physical processes like filtration, evaporation, centrifugation and others. But in alloys, their components are not separated by physical process. This is an exception, but it is a solution where a solid is dissolved in other solid. Now the other is gas in gas. The most common example is our atmosphere, the air we live in. So in air, all of you know, about 78% nitrogen is there and 21% oxygen is there, and carbon dioxide and other gases are also there. So air is a mixture of all these gases together. So this is an example of a solution where gases are there in gases. So these are some of the examples of solution which is a homogeneous mixture. Now we come to the properties of these solutions. So I have written the most important 2, 3, 4 properties. First is homogeneous. As you know, homogeneous means the composition is same throughout. As I have told you, if this is sweet or sugar solution, the sweetness is same throughout the solution. So this is homogeneous, that is all the components, they are present in a similar way in whole of the solution. Now second is about the particle size. The mixtures, solutions, suspensions and colloids, they are differentiated on the basis of their particle size. So in solutions, in true solutions, the particle size is very, very small. We cannot see by naked eye, and even by microscope also it cannot be seen, because suppose this is the solution. The sugar molecule, it is fixed in between the space of water molecules. So the particle size is very, very small and it is less than 1 nanometer. What is nanometer? Nanometer is 10 to the power minus 9 meters. That is, if after decimal point 9 zeros are written, then 1 is written, then we will have 1 nanometer. So small is the particle size. Due to this small particle size, these solutions cannot be filtered by a filter paper. If we filter the homogeneous solution through a filter paper, we cannot get anything on the filter paper. Everything will get down in the filtrate. So due to the small size of particles, they are not filtered by filter paper, and that's why the solutions are known to be stable. Stable means if we leave the solution for few hours, nothing will be sedimented at the bottom. The solution will remain same. This is known as a stable solution, and solute and solvent, they do not separated with one another after some time also, as in the case of suspension and colloids. The next point is, we know that suspension and colloids, they scatter light, and this scattering of light is known as Tyndall effect, after the scientist who discovered this Tyndall effect. What is meant by scattering of light? I will show you. Suppose in a glass we have this solution, salt or sugar solution, and we have a torch, and we are putting light through this torch on this glass of solution. So we can see light from this side of the light. We cannot see the path of light through this solution. We cannot see the path of light. Why? Because the particles are very, very small and they do not scatter the light. When light is not scattered, we cannot see the path of light through solution. So it is said, this is one of the properties of solution, that they do not scatter light, while suspensions and colloids, they scatter light due to their bigger particle size. So this is about the properties of solutions. The next, we come to two phenomena, that is, one is the concentration of solution and other is the solubility of solutions, and we will do some numericals based on concentration of solution and solubility of solutions both. So first is, what is concentration? Depending upon the concentration of solution, the solutions can be divided into dilute and concentrated. Dilute and concentrated solution, it is a comparative term. Suppose we have two beakers, and in one beaker we put 1 teaspoon of sugar, and in the second beaker we put 2 teaspoons of sugar. So the volume of the water is same, both have 50 ml here and 50 ml here. So in two beakers we took 50 ml water each. In first we put 1 teaspoon sugar, in second we put 2 teaspoon sugar. So what we will say, this solution is concentrated than the first one, because the mass of solute is more in this than this. So the concentration of this solution is more than the concentration of first one. That is, dilute and concentrated solution, they are comparative terms with each other. For calculation of concentration, it is always calculated in percent. So what is percent concentration? It is the ratio of amount of solute and amount of solution. You should remember, it is not solvent, it is solution. So the ratio of solute to the ratio of solution, we can get the concentration of the solution, and it is multiplied by 100 to get in percent. So this is how the concentration is calculated. Now there are two ways to calculate concentration. First is mass by mass, second is mass by volume. What is mass by mass? If solute and solution both are given in grams, then the procedure is, this type is mass by mass, mass of solute divided by mass of solution, not solvent, mass of solute upon mass of solution into 100 is, by this method we can calculate concentration. Second is, if instead of in grams the solution is given in milliliters or liters. The volume is given, then there is nothing much difference when we calculate, but we will put this formula, mass of solute divided by volume of solution into 100. Then this percent concentration of the solution can be calculated. So this is about the concentration of the solution. We will do these numerical afterwards. Now second is the solubility. The solubility of different solutes in different solvents is different. What is solubility? Suppose we have 50 ml water. We go on putting sugar in this water. It can dissolve 2 teaspoon, 3 teaspoon, 4, 5, 6, 7 teaspoon at normal room temperature. Suppose 7 spoons are dissolved in 50 ml of water. Suppose when we put more, the sugar, it does not dissolve and it settles at the bottom of the beaker. Then we say that now this sugar solution is saturated solution. No more sugar can be added to this solution at a particular temperature. If the temperature is increased, we can dissolve more, because this is the solubility of this solution, and the solubility increases with increase in temperature. So I have written this definition of solubility: amount of solute that can be dissolved in 100 grams of solvent at a given temperature is the solubility of that solution. Or we can say, in a given amount of solvent, the maximum amount of solute that can be dissolved at a given temperature, that is the solubility of that solution. Are you understanding what is solubility? Solubility is the maximum amount of solute that can be dissolved in a solvent at a given temperature. If the temperature is raised, temperature is more, the solubility increases. You can see in cold water, if we can dissolve 2 teaspoons of sugar, then in hot water we can dissolve more than 2 teaspoons of sugar, because the solubility of sugar increases with increase in temperature. So for calculating solubility, it is also in percent. We can also calculate in percent. It is the amount of solute in grams divided by amount of solvent in grams. Again, this can be in volume also, in liters or milliliters also. But see, when we are calculating concentration, we should write here total amount of solution. Solution means solute plus solvent. Then a solution is made. What is solution? Solution is amount of solvent and amount of solute taken together. That is solution. But when we calculate solubility, we have to write solvent here, not solution. Solubility is what? The amount of solute dissolved in so much solvent. Then it is solubility. So this is the only difference between concentration and solubility. So, and based on this solubility, the solutions can be saturated or unsaturated. When no more solute can be dissolved at a particular temperature in a particular amount of solvent, we say this solution is saturated. When more can be dissolved, we say this solution is unsaturated. Still, some more can be dissolved. So, depending upon this solubility, a solution can be saturated or unsaturated. Depending upon concentration, the solution can be dilute or concentrated. So, this is how we can differentiate between concentration and solubility. This is about this solutions. So now we will do some numericals based on these two formula of solubility and concentration. So do the first one. A solution contains 40 grams of NaCl and 320 grams of water. Calculate concentration of the solution. So we will write first the formula. Concentration of solution is equal to mass of solute in grams divided by mass of solution into 100. So we will get the concentration of solution in percent. So what is the mass of solute? Mass of solute is 40 grams. And what is the mass of solution? 320 grams of water. This is not the mass of solution. This is the mass of solvent. So for mass of solution, we have to add this 40 to this 320. Then the solution will be made. So solution will be 320 plus 40 into 100. So it will be 40 upon 360 into 100. And this will come to 11.1%. So the concentration of the solution will be 11.1%. We have to take heed that we have to write the mass of solution here. This is the mass of solvent. So we have to add mass of solute in solvent to make it the mass of solution. So this is how the first question is solved. Now the second, 24 gram sugar is added to water and volume of solution is 243. What is the percent concentration of solution? Again the same formula we will apply here. Sugar is 24 grams and here the mass of the solution is given. So we don't have to add this 24 to this because this is the volume of the solution. So we will write here volume of solution instead of mass, and we will write 243 milliliters or liters, whatever, milliliters into 100. It will give the concentration of solution in percent. You calculate this. Now the third one, what is the, how much water should be added to 15 grams salt to obtain 15% salt solution? How will you do this? The concentration is given. The same formula will be applied. Here the concentration is given as 15%. This is given. Concentration of solution is given. And what we have to calculate? We have to calculate the mass of water. And the mass of solute is 15 gram into 100. Suppose this is X. So 15X will be equal to 1500. Suppose this is X. So 15X will be equal to 1500 grams. So X will be equal to 1500 upon 15. So it will be 100 gram. So what we are getting? This 100 gram of solution. This is not the weight of water. This is not the mass of water. We get this because in our formula we have X mass of solution. So this 100 gram is the mass of solution. In this question it is asked how much water is to be added. So if the total solution is 100 grams, so the mass of water which should be added is 85 grams. Because 15 is solute, from this 100 we will subtract 15 grams of solute, and the mass of water which is to be added should be 85 grams. This is how this is calculated. And these two questions you calculate by yourself. This is of solubility, I think, and this is of concentration. You solve by yourself and give the answers in comment box in video. and on WhatsApp group, in your class WhatsApp group, and in video on comment box you can give the answers of these two questions. So this is about mixtures and solutions. In the next video, part 3, we will do suspensions and colloidal solutions. This is all for today. Thank you.